Welcome to our Savvy series. I'm Catherine Magana here with Rachel Ivanovich, and today we're going to discuss money and motherhood. In honor of Mother's Day, which it's May, it's coming up this weekend, we thought we'd kind of talk a little bit about different dynamics of motherhood and working and non-working and just kind of have a conversation. But as we talk about money and motherhood, what resonates for me is I have the opportunity to spend Mother's Day with my mom, which I'm very blessed to still have her in my life. She's 88 years old, and she wanted dim sums. We're going to do Chinese food with her this weekend.
Sounds great.
Yes. But the one thing that kind of resonates with, as I think of money and motherhood, is she doesn't like gifts anymore. So she doesn't like flowers. She doesn't like cards. She doesn't like
Not even flowers?
No, she doesn't like. She definitely does not like flowers. And so
I'll take them.
yeah. And then if you buy her something, she's like, I already have like clothes and shoes. I don't really need anything. But you know the one thing she does like?
What's that?
Money. So
are you kidding me?
I swear. So she'll get her.
Funny.
She'll get money. She just lights up and she's like so happy. And I'm just like, it's just really cute.
Okay, we'll combine the flowers with it. So I saw this bouquet and there was dollar bills that was basically folded into a bouquet of flowers.
Oh my goodness.
She would love that.
Yeah.
Or maybe
That's a
not.
good idea. But she's like, wait a minute. I don't like flowers.
I don't like flowers.
Anyways, I just thought that was kind of interesting
that's
as we were talking about money and motherhood. So kind of the financial cost of motherhood as we're, if you are raising kids and the cost of raising of a child.
And we're going to try to not make this all gloom and doom.
Yes, exactly. I know.
I was reading the articles and thinking, oh boy, how are we going to make this fun?
So it's interesting. The average cost of raising a child to 18 years old in the U.S. is around $297,674.
That's crazy.
And that's according to Lending Tree.
Does that include the iPhone?
Right. And then, but it says the annual average expenses is $29,419. So if you do that amount times, call it 18 years, you're looking at more like over $500,000.
I was going to say, it seems like, yeah, I agree.
So it is.
Especially if you buy a car and.
Or there's, I just think the cost of food, if you add everything in, activities, and so it seems more in line with the $500,000. But
I agree.
It just depends. I think when you have babies and you think originally, like, oh, this is a lot of money, but
well,
eventually
your kids are still teenagers. Mine are still off the payroll.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, so we're through college, but you still have college coming up.
I do, and so that's the other thing is we've also been saving for college for them, and obviously putting money away on a monthly basis and. So those are some things that kind of looking at long term, I haven't even factored that into these costs yet. So
Just wait.
I know. It's like, oh, man, it's really expensive. And so obviously there's the long-term cost of raising kids. And then obviously things change as kids age or depending on from infant to adolescent and going through college. And so kind of looking at motherhood and careers. So kind of some mothers decide to work and raise kids, and some mothers decide to kind of take the path of being at home with your children.
And there are opportunity costs there and trade-offs.
There are. And so when you do have, if you do go the career path, there is also mom guilt or trying to make it all work, and there's some things.
Do it all.
Yeah.
You gotta be Superwoman.
And I remember even, going, when I had the twins, going back to work, I had to go to the closet to go, pump milk, and it's like here, and then I'm getting up like an hour earlier in the morning. It's like there was a lot of extra things that had to be done.
Absolutely.
To do that, and for me, when I was growing up, my mom actually worked, and so I saw her working.
So she was a great role model.
Yeah, so I figured, okay, I just figured that's what you do. But I do remember coming home from school off the school bus when they used to have school buses and walking home, and then she was pulling out of the driveway. And I remember seeing her pulling out, and then I was telling her, no, don't go. And I remember the tears just rolling because I wanted her to stay home. And she's like, no, I have to go to work. Yeah. And so I didn't realize it until I'm older, until I had kids and I went to work. It's like,
she probably felt that guilt too,
and
or
then
that sadness.
And then you're trying to plan. Like I try and plan. I don't go to every school activity when the kids were young. I went on a couple field trips here and there. I remember planning a field trip for the end of the school year. This is COVID year. Well, they canceled everything, and so it's like here you try
that too.
Yeah, but so there are the pros and cons of if you are trying to work. Yes, you can make money and do that, but then you're also potentially missing out on some opportunities.
And what we haven't touched on really yet is the financial cost of motherhood.
Yeah.
And, what are those hidden long-term costs of raising a child? I mean, we talked about, what did you say? It was $297,000?
$297, but I think it's closer to $500,000.
I agree with you 100%. But it's even more than that, because you as a mom, if you're working part-time raising your child, but you're working, maybe you're not able to put away enough or max out your 401k or receive the match. I mean, there's some definite financial trade-offs of making that decision. Do I work? Do I work part-time? Yeah. Do I stay at home? And then you have to factor in, if I do work, childcare is really expensive.
And that's the hard part is if you have one child, maybe, okay, it's manageable. But when you start having multiple kids and you have the daycare and depending on the ages and then, so sometimes it makes more financial sense to be home and be there with your kids. Or if you are working, then potentially there's maternity leave or there's some paid leaves, or perhaps your schedule, if your employer is a little more flexible with your schedule.
In post-COVID, there's definitely more, I think, flexibility and remote work options for both moms and dads. But, and then I think it's difficult sometimes for moms when they've taken time off to raise children, even if it's only a couple of years, to re-enter the workforce. It may be that, especially with technology advancing as fast as it is, keeping your skills up to date. And, if you take 5 years off to, raise your kids until they're ready for kinder, then you get back, when you're ready to jump back in, things have advanced quite a bit. So,
but usually they're also... Their powerhouses are really, getting back in the workforce pretty quickly. I could see they usually come back pretty quick. But you're right, there's definitely some skills and things that have to be redeveloped.
It's the opportunity cost of taking that time to be off.
So kind of touching on, you mentioned it, the cost of health care, or child care. So
expensive.
I know there's conversations of universal child care, or there's different credits. And I know there's, you do tax
there's a child independent care credit, but it really doesn't make a dent in it. I think if you have 2 children, the max credit's about $1,200. Okay. So it's not a lot. So one of the things that I suggest to clients is if your employer offers dependent care, through your paycheck, you can put $5,000 away, and that $5,000 can be used tax-free to pay for child care.
So it comes out of your paycheck?
It comes out of your paycheck. And unfortunately, it's not $10,000 if both you and a spouse have it. It's just $5,000. So be careful, because I have seen spouses who've come in who both of them have deferred that $5,000. And then we have to add that $5,000 back to their tax return when we do the taxes. Okay. So...
There's options.
There are options.
There's some planning. And then I think we've talked about in the past where if you aren't working and you're a spouse, then there are spousal IRAs. There are still ways to save and put money aside, even in your name.
Yes.
And so there's some things to consider.
So the consideration is, do I do a traditional or a Roth? And, what is the overall joint income level? If you're married, then if your spouse is working and you're not working, or maybe you're only working part-time, you can still put away the full the max to an individual retirement arrangement or IRA every year, so that you are still contributing and building your retirement savings, because I think it's really important that you are thinking about that, even if you're staying home, because you're working if you're staying home.
Yes, I would say there's activities, there's a lot.
Oh my gosh, and just raising your kids, you are going from dawn till dusk, and sometimes even the middle of the night.
And sometimes the schools are like right next to each other. You're driving around.
Exactly.
And then even now, I didn't have to drop off and pick up. Thankfully, I had my mom and then my dad, and Jocelyn kind of helped a little bit.
Give her lots of money for Mother's Day.
I know. So there was a lot of support. But I know when my mom went to pick up the kids in elementary or even take them, she would go, drop them off half an hour early, or then when she picked them up, she would get there like 2 hours before, an hour and a half beforehand to get a good spot.
We called it the minivan parade.
Right? It's like, so it's not just, hey, I'm going to go pick up my kid. It's like there's a lot of planning and coordinating. And then I realized, there's a lot of the activities, especially when they're young, they're not after school, like the school plays and stuff. They're actually during the day.
And I was a single mom for many years, and I'll tell you, it was really difficult. And I felt a lot of shame from a lot of the other moms, and it's unfortunate. So I hope that don't shame the single mom, because believe me, we are working hard. And I'm remarried now, but I mean, there were some unique financial challenges that I faced. I mean, oftentimes there was, I wanted to go to PTA meetings and I couldn't, and there were contributions. I mean, it was one income. I wasn't getting child support really, or alimony. And so when there were certain programs that my kids wanted to do, it was really being very cognizant of how much money is coming in and making sure I always had a buffer so that I could cover the extra costs.
I'll say, as you're talking about that, I was thinking of, so I have twins, and when they were young, they were in soccer, and doing that every season. But then it came, then you sign up for snacks, and it's like, so it's not just the activity, it's snacks, and there's like other things.
So much.
And then even schools, it's like, oh, we're going to do this potluck.
Absolutely. And it's not just PTA. Here, $20 to join the PTA. It's all of the other things, and costs of our costumes and so on and so forth. But I think really having a budget and then having a buffer on top of it is always helpful, because there's always something that comes up that your kids want to take part in.
So let's talk about financial literacy for mothers. We are big advocates for helping women learn about money and finance, and we have a lot of resources. We have the YouTube channel with webinars and Savvy Minutes and this Savvy series where we do our podcast. And so we definitely think being educated and learning, and we know everyone's schedules are busy, but we definitely have a lot of resources about money and making sure that we're helping. And then even looking at what are you teaching your kids? I mean, there's a lot of money and relationship, and I know for myself growing up, we didn't really talk a lot about money, but I knew, I knew there was money for college at the time, but I didn't know what that looked like, and
or what things cost.
Yeah,
how much what are the utility bills?
I know, but my mom was really frugal, so I didn't. I knew that she stretched a dollar. I knew. I felt like I knew there was the value. We never talked about it. And so that's kind of one of the things, being a mother and having kids and in our family, we really have those conversations about money with our kids, and when they get birthday money or Christmas or holiday or whatever, that they're putting money aside and saving. And then we also had the conversations about college, like, we're going to cover so much, and then you're going to be this is going to be on you. And so they still have a couple years before they're going to decide, but we're having those conversations of, potentially you may have debt if you don't plan.
A lot of clients ask me, how did you get your kids out? How did you get your kids out?
How did you do that?
How are you successful with that?
Yeah.
And I think it's really about setting the expectation with them, like you were saying. And when my kids were younger, they had chores and they got paid an allowance, but we actually talked about saving some, giving some to a charity, and then having some to spend, but also having goals for their money. And if you want to have X, then you need to save Y. Yeah. And when they went to Hope Elementary here in Carlsbad, and I started a program called Wamula for Kids through Washington Mutual.
Oh, nice.
And so once a week, the kids, through the school, they would come, and I would sit in an office, and I would collect their money, and then I'd take it down to the bank and deposit it for them. But that was kind of where it started with them, and WAMU actually allowed them to have debit cards. So I was teaching them about debit cards and credit, and good credit and bad credit, and how to save for things. But then Julia, for instance, she got a job when she was 15 because she really wanted to play beach volleyball and club. And I told her, I said, well, this is what it costs, and I will pay for one. And if you want to do both, then you have to pay for one of them. And she did. So she got a job, and she worked in the fish market. Man, was she stinky when she came home.
Good for her.
Yeah, but she did. She paid for her beach volleyball because she really wanted to do that. And I think that by giving them goals for their money, that was really helpful. And she worked all through college, and Sasha also worked. And I really set the expectation that this is how much I'll help pay for, and the rest is on you. And if you need help getting a job or whatever, I can help you, but this is your responsibility as a young adult.
Nice. So obviously being a mother and motherhood, there's some of you that are stay at home, some of you are working or a combination, or maybe you're working part-time. And we just know that being a mom and being a mother, there's a lot of love and support. And, we're all in this together, and there's no one size fits all. Everyone's different on how they want to parent or be a mom. But at the end of the day, I think all of us are on this journey together. And hopefully today we were able to share a little bit of insights with you. And if you are open to talking with us, if you'd like a consultation or some additional resources, we're happy to speak with you. You can reach us at 760-692-5700. And thank you for getting savvy today with us about your finances. And until next time, remember to savvy up. Please stay tuned for important disclosures. The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results, and the indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risk and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional. Savvy Woman Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor with the SEC.